All right, welcome everyone. Today, we're going to go on this incredible journey to explore a really big idea, unity in diversity. Now, it's a phrase you've probably heard before, but we're about to find out what it really means by looking at the amazing story of India. So let's start with the big question. What does unity and diversity actually mean? It sounds a little complicated, but just think of it like a puzzle. How can one place be filled with thousands of totally different, unique things, but also be just one thing at the very same time? Well, today we're going to solve that puzzle together. To even start to get your head around India, you have to think big. Just look at these numbers from a huge study. We are talking about more than 4,000 different communities, 325 different languages, and 25 different ways to write them all down. Wow! Now that is what you call diversity. So, are you ready to dive in? Here's our roadmap. First, we'll tackle the big idea itself. Then, we're going to see it in action through food, clothing, festivals, and some amazing stories that connect everybody. Okay, so first stop, let's really unpack this core idea. You'll hear people call it unity and diversity, or sometimes many in the one. It's all about finding that single common thread that ties a whole bunch of different things together. And believe it or not, we are not the first people to wonder about this. More than 100 years ago, a historian named Vincent Smith looked at all the variety in India and basically scratched his head, thinking, how on earth do you tell the story of this place? And he realized the answer was hidden right inside the question itself, by understanding this idea of unity and diversity.
All right, let's move on and see how this all works with something I'm pretty sure we all love, food. Honestly, this is probably the most delicious way to understand our big idea.
Get this. India serves up thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of different dishes. From north to south, east to west, every single region has its own unique flavors. So, with all that variety, where's the unity? Well, here's the secret. Underneath all of that incredible variety, most meals are built on a foundation of just a few common ingredients. We're talking about staples like rice, wheat, all kinds of millets, and pulses like dal. These are the basic building blocks of food right across the entire country. So, you see what's happening here? You have a few shared ingredients. That's the unity. And then you have all the different, amazing, delicious ways to cook them. And that's the diversity. It's our many in the one idea, served up right on a plate. Now, this whole idea of one thing, many forms doesn't just stop in the kitchen. Let's take a look at clothing and see how one single piece of cloth can tell a powerful story of unity and diversity. Okay, take a look at these two pictures. On the left, we've got a stone carving that's thousands of years old, and on the right, a photo from today. Do you see the connection? It's the sari, a single, unstitched piece of cloth that's been a constant part of Indian life for centuries. And it is so much more than just a dress. This one piece of cloth is a tool for work, like you see here, being used to help gather grain.
Can be a shelter, right? A quick shield from a sudden downpour. It can even help catch a meal. The creativity in how the sari is used is just absolutely amazing.
So just think about it for a second. You've got hundreds of different fabrics, endless colors, and countless ways to wear it and use it. All of that, that's the diversity. But what's the unity? It all comes back to that one single piece of cloth, the sari. It's another perfect example of our big idea in action. All right, let's see how this whole concept applies to something else everyone loves, celebrations. India is famous for its festivals, so let's zoom in on one specific time of the year to see this unity and diversity really shine. So around January 14th every year, something really cool happens. Down south, people are celebrating Pongal. Up north, it's called Lohi. Over in the east, it's Magh Bihu. So many different names, so many different celebrations, but what's the one thing they all have in common?
Well, here's the key. They are all celebrating the exact same thing, the harvest season. You've got different names, different foods, different songs, but one single reason to celebrate together. See? Unity and diversity all over again.
Now for our final stop, let's look at something you can't touch, but is just as powerful. The stories that have been told all across India for thousands of years. We're talking about these massive ancient stories called epics, like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. They're filled with heroes and villains and big ideas about what's right and what's wrong. You can think of these stories as a kind of common library that everyone shares. But here's the really cool part.
A researcher found that almost every community in India has its own local version of these stories. According to their own folklore, the epic heroes visited their town or walked through their forest, and that creates this powerful, personal connection to these shared tales.
So it's like this giant invisible web of stories that ties the entire country together. It's one set of core stories that becomes thousands of local versions, creating this incredibly powerful, unifying connection through shared values and shared history.
So, let's just quickly recap what we've learned on our journey. First, India is unbelievably diverse. Second, underneath all of that variety, you can always find a deep connecting unity. And third, and this is the most important part, this diversity isn't a weakness at all. It's what makes India so incredibly rich and strong.
And now, I want to leave you with a final thought. Think about your own life for a second. What's a food you eat, or a festival you celebrate, or a story you love that connects you to this bigger, amazing story of many in the one? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.